Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us today from. We're more than happy to be having you today. And you're welcome to today's session where we're going to be discussing the second session. We had the first last month of our webinar. And today's topic, we will be looking at owning your research journey, abstracts, conference papers, and publishing. We have started this last month rather, and we'll be proceeding with the second session. And for today, I just want to say you're very welcome. And we're going to go straight in order to gain more time into today's session and for respect of those who came in way earlier. So, Career Chat with Nangla is just a platform which seeks to address concerns of early career professionals. And if you're one of those who's joining us today for the very first time, this is who we are. And webinars are just one of the ways through which we get to meet the needs of early career professionals, all those who are enthusiastic about learning and growing their careers. And just as housekeeping, in today's session, we have interpretation. So if you go to the lower bottom part of your screen, you're going to see a globe sign. And if you can't see that, just click on more. You're going to see a globe sign written interpretation. And if you're French speaking, you can get right there to get French interpretation for the session. And again, please, if you aren't speaking, kindly mute your mic so that distractions from the background do not get into the session. So we're going to have questions and answer sessions. So once we get to that aspect of the agenda, feel comfortable raising your hand and we would call you in to make your intervention. And just as we proceed with today's session, kindly use the chat box in expressing maybe your yourself, or please proceed by introducing yourself. So here, please let us know who you are, what your name is, and you could also share with us your LinkedIn URL while introducing yourself so that we can connect with each other. You can just drop the link so that people can click just once and then they're in your profile and can connect or follow you on LinkedIn. This is how we support ourselves with growing um our network offline. We're going to proceed first of all by introducing who our guest speakers are in a few minutes. They're going to proceed with their presentation. And right after the presentations, we're going to open the floor for questions and answers. And there is Mildred, who works with Cynthia Research Academy, and we will be giving her a couple of minutes to talk about this program. So for those who are interested, they can always, register for this program. Now, I think this is going to be it. Once again, you're very much welcome to today's edition of Career Chats with Nangla. I'm going to start off by introducing our very first guest speaker, who's Dr. Chukwumbana Faith Okirie. He is a medical doctor with a strong interest in academic surgery. Let me take it over again. Dr. Chukwumbana Okirie is a medical doctor with a strong interest in academic surgery, surgical oncology, and translational cancer research. He has participated in clinical and research training across multiple institutions and is actively involved in collaborative research aimed at improving cancer care. Again, Dr. Okirie serves as a research associate at Sankofa Research and Mentorship Hub and is an executive board member at the Medical Students Committee of the Society of Black Academic Surgeons. He is also a member of the American College of Surgeons, Society of Surgical Oncology, and American Society of Breast Surgeons. He's very passionate about advancing surgical oncology through research, mentorship, and international collaboration. Once again, thank you very much for accepting to share with us your knowledge today, Dr. Chukwumbana. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here today. Hopefully, we're going to impact and share the knowledge we have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. So we're going to go right ahead by introducing our second guest, Mr. Stephen. Mr. Stephen Jesufemi Taiwo holds a Master's of Arts in Political Science and Public Administration and is a Bachelor's of Science holder in Political Science. He is also a public policy specialist and interdisciplinary researcher whose work focuses on sustainable development, governance, climate finance, environmental policy, politics, social justice, and the intersections of public policy and democratic governance. He currently serves as a program coordinator and contributing researcher at Sankofa Research and Mentorship Hub, a non-profit African organization which is dedicated to evidence-based research, policy advocacy, mentorship, and transdisciplinary collaboration. His research has been presented at academic and professional conferences, and he has contributed to peer-reviewed publications and policy-oriented commentaries on contemporary governance and sustainability issues. He is also a chartered accountant and member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. He brings a multidisciplinary perspective that bridges public policy, governance, and financial accountability. He is deeply committed to advancing evidence-informed policy making, strengthening institutional capacity, and supporting professional development through research and mentorship. So in all, his research, or say his current research, examines the current role of sustainable urban agriculture in fostering participatory governance and strengthening deliberative democracy practices in urban communities with a broader interest in developing practical evidence-based solutions to complex public policy challenges. Once again, thank you very much for coming, Mr. Stephen. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. Thank you. And it's a pleasure being here once again to impact knowledge and to disseminate knowledge and in terms of research. And I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much for coming. So to wrap it up all before we get into our presentations, it's also an opportunity for me to thank all our partners who are contributing in one way or the other to make the sessions very successful. I'm going to start off with Siko Garnison. Thank you very much for your support to Career Chat with Nangla, the Students Association of the Advanced School of Translators and Interpreters based in Boya. Thank you very much for your services. And Sankofa, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like you would have noticed, today we have Dr. Chukwumbana and Mr. Taiwo Stephen, who are all from Sankofa. So we are leveraging Sankofa services. Thank you all for all you do to move us forward. Thank you very much. And finally, please kindly let's observe the ground rules as we move on with the session. Please keep your books open, take your notes, keep the chat active, introduce yourself in the chat, let us know who you are so we can connect with you. There is also going to be a link that will be shared in the chat to help you share with us your feedback from today's session. And we also issue attestations after every webinar. So do well to fill the form so that we can get your information, get a certificate for you and send to you right after the session. So once again, thank you very much for joining us today. And I'll pass it on to Dr. Chukwumbana and Mr. Stephen Taiwo.
Okay. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and Welcome to day two. The last time we introduced like the fundamentals of research, what research is, how to understand research, how to identify a research niche, different types of research, and how to develop a good research question. Today we're moving to the next stage, which is communicating your research, owning your research. So for my section, I'll focus on writing research abstractions and eventually developing your abstract into a full manuscript. You're actually in good hands because earlier this year, one of my abstracts got accepted for presentation at the American College of Surgeons Clinical Congress meeting, which will be happening next month at Washington, D.C. So this is an abstract I wrote myself, and I know a thing or two about this. So let's move straight ahead. So what exactly is an abstract? An abstract is essentially a little version of your entire research study. Someone should be able to read your abstract and understand why you conducted the study, what you did, what you found, and what those findings mean. And abstracts are extremely important because in many situations, they are the first and sometimes only the part of your research that someone reads. Think about when you search on PubMed or Google Scholar, you see a title, you click on it, and usually read the abstract before deciding whether the full paper is worth your time. So, the scientific committee may have hundreds of thousands of submissions. They're often deciding whether your work deserves an oral presentation or poster based primarily on what you have communicated in a few hundred words. So abstract writing is not simply about shortening your paper. It's about identifying the most important elements of your research and communicating them efficiently. This is why the key principle here is tell the complete research story in the fewest necessary words. Every sentence has to earn its place. So most research abstracts can be understood using four basic questions. First, why? This is going to be your background. What problem are we dealing with? What is missing from existing knowledge? And most importantly, what was the objective of your study? You don't need an entire literature review here. Usually a few sentences are enough. Second, how? This now becomes like your method. What study design did you use? Who or what did you study? What was your main outcome? And how did you analyze the data? Again, we don't need every methodological detail. We need enough information for someone to understand what you did. Third is the what question. This is your results, and this is usually the most important part of the abstract. What did you actually find? Whenever possible, give actual numbers rather than simply saying something increased, decreased, or were significant. Finally, this is a question I love so much. It's the so what question. This now becomes your conclusion. What do those results mean? Why are they important rather? If you remember nothing else about abstracts, just remember these four questions. Why, how, what, and the so what question. Now, there are a few things that separate a strong abstract from a weak one. First, you need to follow the guidelines. You may write an excellent 400 word abstract, but if the conference says the maximum is 250 words, you have a problem there. Some conferences require structured headings, others want an unstructured abstract. Some allow tables of figures, others don't. Secondly, your objective should be immediately clear. Then, when you get to the results, give results. A common weak statement is the intervention significantly improved outcomes. Improved by how much? What was the comparison? What was the effect size? Where possible, give the reader the numbers. This is so important. You need to give the numbers if you had statistics with your research. Another major mistake is spending half of your word count on the background and then squeezing the actual findings in two sentences. Your results deserve space. And finally, your conclusion must be supported by your findings. Don't conduct a small observational study and conclude that you've proven something causes something else. The abstract should be clear, concise, complete and accurate. I was reviewing a paper this morning and I was reading the abstract, and these people, like, they were like, the authors were overclaiming from the abstract, oh, our study significantly improved this. Meanwhile, when I read the method section and the results, I could see that, okay, the result wasn't that statistically significant. These are the issues. So now we've come to the difficult part. You've completed a research project. You might have 30 pages of material, 5 tables, multiple analysis, and dozens of references. And the conference gives you 300 words. What do you do? The simple thing is you find the story. Before you even start writing, ask yourself 4 questions. Why was this study needed? That gives you the background. What did we actually do? That gives you the methods. And what are the 2 or 3 findings that matter the most? That would then give you the results. And then why should anyone care? That gives you the conclusion. One of the biggest mistakes new researchers make is trying to put everything into the abstract. You can't. The skill is deciding what deserves to remain. So think problem, method, finding, meaning. If those 4 things are clear, you already have the skeleton of your abstract. So this is going to be the practical part of this. I'm going to give you a research paper that has been published, and then we're going to like try to identify this 4 parts, the 4 skeletons like of the abstract, the 4 skeletons that make up the abstract, and then we will try to make an abstract from that. I'll quickly change my interface to this. Okay. So yeah, this is a study. It's published on Couriers. The title of the study is Screen Time Patterns and Their Impact on Academic Performance, which is a prospective study among phase 1 MBBS students, which are also phase 1 medical students. Now, we go here, this is an abstract that you're given. No, we don't want to look at this. We want to make our own abstract. So the first part is, how can we get like an abstract from this? The first part is the background part, which answers what question? Why are we doing this? So you can come here and see like, what is the problem? What is the problem in this paper? You can read through, but to not take so much time, we can read this second paragraph. Despite these observations, the association between screen time and academic performance remains inconsistent across studies. Some report a negative link while others find no significant relationship. And if you note potential benefits and understand specific conditions, hence screen time usage is quite nuanced and must be distinguished between academic and non-academic usage. So here we can find our problem. You can see that the problem here is digital device is common among medical students, but academic and recreational screen use may relatively differ, and we don't know how both of them affect like academic performance. So next is just of your abstract, the why. So you need to find the problem and then the objective. What are you trying to achieve with this stuff? We just need a sentence we can put in our abstract, which something like this I'll say is to assess the relationship between screen time patterns, especially academic versus non-academic use, and academic performance among phase 1 MBBS students. Now let's go to the next thing. The method is heavily flawed, then your paper is flawed because your methods will determine how you get your results and whatever conclusion you come in the abstract. You can't put everything. You can't put everything you did, all the analysis you did. You need to pick out key findings, key findings that when the reader sees this, they can say, okay, yeah, I know what this author is trying to do also. So first thing in this kind of study, I'm going to look at the study design. What's the study design? The study design here is a prospective observational study. How are we going to see that? So you can see from here, like, okay, the time also, the study was conducted from January to February, blah, 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 and all that. So we need to check also the population. The study included phase 1 MBBS students aged 18 or older. So the study is phase 1, the population rather is the phase 1 MBBS students. This is important because first we need to include what design did we use. So I could say there's a prospective observational study. What's the population? Phase 1 MBBS students. Next thing we have to look at is the sample size. We can't come and put all this for like the formula here into the abstract. Makes no sense. We just pick out the number. A total of 102 phase 1 MB students were included in the study. This is enough to include in the abstract. Next thing, we have to check the duration. How long did this the research carry on for? You can read through and check, but this research will carry on for 4 consecutive weeks in January 2025. So, which is something we can see here. It was carried on for 4 consecutive weeks in January 2025. Next thing is the exposure. What did they use to assess this data? We can see that participants were contacted after academic hours, blah, blah, blah. Weekly screen time data were collected manually from participants' smartphone. This is the exposure, how they, collected the data and all that. Now, the second to the last thing is the outcome. What did they measure? What did they measure here? How did they measure and like what was like the final outcome they used to develop like their results? So it was the first semester result, first trimester examination mark. That's what they actually used here. So this is it here. This data is what you need to put also in your method. And finally, you check, okay, what kind of analysis was done. We don't need to put all the whole analysis. We don't need to put what version of SPSS was used. We just need to know, okay, they used the Spearman's correlation analysis here. With this, we can be able to build a method, like a method part of the abstract. So with this, we can say a prospective observational study followed 102 phase 1 MBBS students for 4 weeks. Device recorded screen time was categorized into academic and non-academic use and compared with first trimester examination marks using correlation and group comparison analysis. With this, your readers or whoever is reading your abstract already knows what you're doing. And the next part is the results, which is this. With the results, we don't need to put all tables. Like, for example, look at this. We already know what we're trying to assess. We're trying to assess, okay, the screen time, how the screen time, like, are using for academic or non-academic purposes, and how will it later affect their grades? That's what we're trying to assess here. I can come and start including, okay, preferred study modes and mean marks. Okay, digital books and everybody was mean. The mean of the digital books was this. Standard deviation was this. If you put this in the result, when the reader reads this, they don't know what's like, it makes no sense to them. If you come to this first table, we can see the total screen time was this. The academic screen time was this. Non-academic screen time, the mean was this. This tells us, okay, yeah, this is important because this is what we are trying to, compare. We also need the correlation, not the correlation per se. Yeah, we need the correlation so we can see if this result is statistically significant. Now we can see here that academic screen time, this is the mean, and this is the correlation. It's positive and it's statistically significant. This is something you should actually report. Now you see non-academic screen time was negatively correlated and it was statistically significant as well. This is important for your result. Actually, this is all your readers need to know for now before they go into the full manuscript. And then, what will your possible result skeleton look like from this? Among the 102 students, academic screen time correlated positively with examination marks, whereas non-academic use correlated negatively. And then The total screen time, which is this, you can see, I don't know how, in research, if a p-value is more than 0.05, it's not statistically significant. So we can see here, this is more than 0.05, so this result is not statistically significant. We have to report it. You don't have to say, okay, because it's not statistically significant, I won't report it. No, it's essential for your result, so you have to report this. Now you say something like, oh, the total screen time was not significantly correlated with marks. You can show the p-value and the Spearman's ratio and the p-value here. This is what your results should show. You should not go and start showing, okay, what's the stratification by gender, the values of that. It's not necessary. Nobody needs to know that until they read the full part of the paper. Now, the final part is the conclusion. The conclusion should actually, we are not trying to tell a different story from what you've already presented. You're not trying to tell a different story from what is presented in your result. Your conclusion is, so what? My results I've gotten, how do these, affect the general population? What should the reader take away from what I've said? Now, most of this, when you're reading a paper like this, you get it from the discussion and the main conclusion. You pick out what the authors have already analyzed and all that. For a paper like this, what will I say? Academic screen time use was positively associated with examination performance, whereas non-academic use was negatively associated with performance. And the purpose of screen use may therefore be more informative than total duration. We're not trying to say something like, oh, the screen time stuff was significant, whereas it wasn't. That's overclaiming. Or maybe your results showed like very little correlation or so, and then you're saying, oh, this is a very statistically significant result. No, that's not right. You shouldn't do that, because that becomes overclaiming and it makes your abstract a weak abstract. Another thing that makes your abstract a weak abstract is when the reader reads it and they can't really tell what's the novelty, what's the problem statement. They're like reading it and they can't really tell, oh, what's the problem here? Is this novel enough? Is it something I should spend my time on? If no one can tell the novelty from, or the problem statement from your abstract, then your abstract is a weak abstract. Another thing again is the so what. The conclusion should actually tell a story, like, okay, what did they find and all that. So this part, I believe, like with this little thing, like you can be able to pick out the important parts of important parts in the manuscript that you can use to, make out the abstract. So you need to identify, you condense, select, conclude, and you review as well. So next, once an abstract gets accepted and presented, another term you encounter is conference proceedings. Conference proceedings are essentially the formal scholarly record of work associated with a conference. But here's where people sometimes get confused. Not every conference handles proceedings the same way. One conference may publish only accepted abstracts in a journal supplement. Another may publish extended abstracts. Some conferences publish complete proceeding papers, and some may not formally publish the abstract at all. So you need to know what your particular conference does. The typical pathway is you submit an abstract, it undergoes some form of scientific review, it is accepted or rejected, and if accepted, you may present it as an oral presentation, poster, quick shot, or another format. The conference may then publish that work in its proceedings, but the important distinction is presenting at a conference does not automatically mean you have published a full journal article. Those are different academic outputs. Now, for example, the conference I'm going to be presenting at, after the conference, the abstract is going to be presented, it's going to be published as what they call it. It's going to publish in the journal as just an abstract. We're not going to publish like the full paper and all that. If after I want to publish the full paper, it's fine. I can go publish that, but it's just going to present that and publish as an abstract. It's not going to publish as a full manuscript. So now we need to differentiate what's an abstract, what's the proceeding, what's the full paper, so you don't get confused with that. So this table helps separate three things that are often grouped together. An abstract is very short. Its job is to summarize the research. A proceedings paper, when the conference using them, usually provides more detail than an abstract, but may still be considerably shorter than a full journal manuscript. And then you have the full journal article. This is where readers should be able to evaluate the study comprehensively, the complete methodology, the results, tables, figures, interpretation, limitations, and references. The review process can also differ. Conference abstracts are usually reviewed for acceptance into the meeting. Proceedings review varies considerably depending on the conference. A journal article goes through the journal's editorial and peer review process. So before submitting to a conference, check what exactly will be published. Will the abstract appear online? Will it be in a journal supplement? Will it have a DOI? Mr. Stephen will explain what a DOI is. Will there be a full proceedings paper? Know what academic output you are actually getting. Now, getting your abstract accepted is only the beginning. Now you have to turn 250 or 300 words into something an audience can understand. Before opening PowerPoint, answer 4 questions. Who is my audience? A highly specialized scientific audience is different from medical students or the general public. What is the format? Is it going to be a poster? It's going to be an oral presentation? It's going to be a quick shot or a 3-minute presentation? How much time do I have? This is very critical. A 5-minute presentation is not a compressed 20-minute presentation. You have to decide what to leave out. And finally, if the audience remembers only one thing from my presentation, what should it be? Once you know that, build the presentation around it. Your basic scientific structure remains. Start with the background, the methods, results, and then conclusion. But in most research presentations, the results should receive the greatest emphasis. That's what people came to hear. Now, good research can be completely lost in a bad presentation. Your slides are there to support you, not replace you. If your audience is reading paragraphs while you're talking, they are trying to do two things like simultaneously. So keep your slides very simple. One major idea per slide. Use figures, graphs, and images when they communicate the finding better than text. Make your font large enough for someone sitting at the back of the room. And don't copy a massive table from your manuscript and expect the audience to find the important number. Show them what matters. For delivery, rehearsal is one of the simplest ways to improve. Time yourself, know where you tend to spend too long, and please don't read slides word for word. The audience can read. Your job is to interpret and explain what they are saying. And prepare for questions. Think beforehand, if I were reviewing this study, what would I challenge? The principle is simple. Show the data, tell the story, and respect the time. Now you've presented the abstract. What next? Ideally, the research shouldn't stop at the conference. We want to move toward a full manuscript. But there's an important misconception here. A manuscript is not simply your abstract with more words added to each section. No. The abstract is the summary. The manuscript is where you provide the complete scientific story. Your background becomes the introduction, just like we saw from the practical part. Now you can explain what is known, review the relevant literature, identify the gap, and establish why your research question matters. Your abstract methods becomes the full method section. Someone should have enough information to understand exactly how the study was performed and ideally reproduce it. This is one thing that is very important in research. Someone should take your method and be able to reproduce that stuff and get the same results you did. If they can't, no, then your method is flawed. Your abstract results expand into the complete results, supported by appropriate tables and figures. And your conclusion expands into the discussion. This is where you interpret the findings, compare them with previous studies, discuss possible explanations, acknowledge limitations, and explain the implications. So we have this structure we call the IMRAD structure, which is the introduction, methods, results, and discussion. Now, I want to end my section by putting everything we've discussed into one journey. It starts with the research question. That question leads to a study. The study generates results. We then summarize those results into an abstract. That abstract may take the work to a conference where we communicate our findings to other researchers, but we shouldn't necessarily stop there. We develop the work into a full manuscript, submit it for peer review, respond to reviewers, and ultimately aim for publication. So research communication isn't something that happens only at the end. It's part of the research process itself. And the way we communicate changes depending on the stage. The abstract tells the story briefly. The presentation tells the story visually and verbally. The manuscript tells the complete scientific story. And that brings us perfectly to the next part of today's presentation. Because once you have the full manuscript, you face another very important question. Where should you submit it? Where should you publish it? With journal? And that's where I'll hand over to Mr. Stephen to continue with the section. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mbana. Thank you very much for taking us through very deeply. That was a lot to absorb. Thank you so much. And this is to welcome Mr. Stephen Taiwo into the second part of our presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Taiwo.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Mbana. And I'm going to continue just right from where he stopped. I don't know whether everybody can hear me correctly and loudly. So now, after you have been able to draft your manuscript, as I said earlier, you now need to decide where to submit your manuscript. And I want to say that picking the right manuscript is not a guesswork. It has to be a very strategic decision that you need to make, and you have to make it quickly. And then in such a way that when you're selecting your when you're trying to submit your manuscript, you are doing it in such a way that the research you're trying to communicate is directly where the right audience in which you want to communicate that research to will be able to access it. So it's very important when you actually, picking your right, when you are trying to choose where you want to submit your manuscript, to know, to make a strategic decision and to plan properly on where to actually submit it, because there are a lot of journal, there are hundreds of journal. And then this is also an ethic way. It is always very ethic at the end of the day, because if you don't actually, if you don't actually submit your journal or manuscript into the right journal or into the right journal, you will find out that you will have wasted a lot of time, and then you might face what we call desk rejection at the end of the day, because if you are not submitting into the right place, you might have wasted a lot of time. So I have some clear framework on how this could be done when you're trying to choose the right place you want to submit your manuscript. So the first method actually is to actually look at a core paper that actually has been published in relation to the gap you're trying to fill. Remember, we mentioned that you need to have a research question and all like that. Now you have, and then the last time I showed you how to get Q1 journals or journals that actually have addressed that, and so that you will be able to trace what the research gap at the end of the day. So one of the things you need to do is to do what? Is to look for core papers, core articles in your work. Usually you need to go to the reference section of that paper and look at the most cited or the most cited paper in terms of the literature in that context. You will find out that most of those cited paper, journal rather, in that context, you find out that the journals, when you go to the journal that published most of this work, you will find out that the scope might probably align with your work at the end of the day. So one of the things you need to do, you need to start by looking at your topic and your objective, and you look at the journal scope, the scope of the journal actually that fits perfectly into this particular work that you're trying to do. So usually you should check the scope. You'll find out that this scope will align or fit perfectly in your work. You should target those kind of journals to submit your work. And that's the first one. Also, you don't just write a manuscript. You don't decide where to submit your manuscript when you have finished your work. You will be wasting a lot of time. while trying to draft your manuscript, you should start making research on where you want to submit your manuscript at the end of the day. And then most times you could actually choose like 3 of these journals where you would, because each of these journal might have their guidelines, they might have a lot of rules, they might have a required structure where you have to format your article, which you have to format your article into. So you need to actually do what? You need to actually be prepared beforehand. Not that you will prepare a structure and then the structure is not fitting into the scope or into the dimension or into the guideline of that particular journal that you have to submit to. That will take a lot of time. At the end of the day, you have to be working backward in this context, because a research a journal might have a guideline, a particular formatting in which you have to follow. So in terms of the tables, in terms of the referencing style and all, so you need to actually be prepared for this. When you have like 3 journal in mind that fit into the scope of your work, you draft each of them, you format your work in each of this journal, and then put it in different folders, such that when you submit one, if at all you find out that you actually have some kind of rejection, you can just go into the next one and submit the second one into the second journal. That way you eliminate some kind of you kind of save your time. So now I've put down here that there are some steps you need to look at when you're choosing the right journal. And I've mentioned that you need to look at the scope and objective of your work, and then look at the scope of the journal. Is your work fitting into it? That's the first thing. Check the aims and scope. Um, One thing that most people do is, okay, they look at the aim and scope of a work, of a journal, and then they have prepared a manuscript. And later you find out that they are trying to stretch the manuscript to fit into the scope of that particular journal article or of that particular journal. In most cases, this will face a desk rejection. That is the first point, because you don't entirely fit into the scope. Because when you stretch your work, at the end of the day, you might not actually, you might, I mean, the thing the right information you're trying to pass on to the audience will be missing at the end of the day, because you don't have the available data to actually carry the weight of the information that you're trying to pass across to the audience at the end of the day. So the next thing is to check the aim and the scope of the journal. Also, the next thing is to check the indexing and impact factor. The indexing in this context, we're talking about, is this journal properly indexed in a very reliable and verified database like Scopus database, DOAJ, and all like that? Are they properly indexed in these databases? Or impact factor, what is their impact factor? Impact factor shows often the average article in an academic journal. How often an article is cited in an academic journal. So now the impact factor dictates one thing, that okay, if this specific journal has an higher impact factor, it means that what? It means that it's a very reputable journal. So it is in this context that you need to look when you're trying to submit. You need to look at this criteria. Okay, now, okay, I'm trying to submit my manuscript, and then okay, this journal is properly indexed, and then they have high impact factor. This is the kind of journal I should be considering to submit my work. However, I will put a caveat here, because when you're trying to submit your article, maybe you are a doctoral student, or you need to submit an article to get some kind of promotion and all at work, and you have a deadline for you to submit this particular article. You might want to target a properly indexed journal with a moderate impact factor. Why am I saying this? Because high impact factor journal with the properly indexed most time take a longer review time. They take time to review your work, 6 months, 7 months. In fact, some might stretch to 1 year, 1.5 years before they get back to you or on your submitted manuscript to them. So if you're having a deadline, you should target a journal that is actually properly indexed and have maybe a moderate impact factor in this context, so that you can be able to meet your deadline target at the end of the day. And also, one thing you should note is that if you published in an unindexed journal, you face like a feasibility problem. The goal of you writing a manuscript is for you, is for people to be able to see what you're doing. Abi, is for people to be able to read your work. Now, if you are in an unindexed journal, it means that your work will not be visible to people who actually need it at the end of the day. So when you are making decision on where to submit, you need to look at this criteria. And also, you need to look at the review timeline. As I said earlier, some journal takes 6 months to give decisions, while some takes 2 weeks. If you are on a timeline for graduation or postdoctoral application or promotion, check the journal average time, review time before you submit. So this is very important. Also, in terms of the review time, you should also note that the review time is also often depends on the reviewer's availability. If the journals are having, issue on people, on getting reviewers to take your time, review your work or something like that, it might also take a longer time. So you need to consider this when you are actually submitting your article. And last but not the least, when you're submitting your article, when you're trying to determine where to submit, you need to check for pediatric journal. I cannot overemphasize this because it's very important. Pediatric journals are everywhere. I will show you an example of a pediatric journal that sent an email to one of my friends recently to come and submit an article. And what you find out at the end of the day, you waste your time, you waste your money, you will waste your effort, you can lose your reputation when you submit to a pediatric journal at the end of the day. So I will share some techniques on how to look at or how to be able to differentiate between a pediatric journal and the right journal to submit to at the end of the day. So I will share a practical presentation. So now it is very important to look at this, and that will lead me to the next slide that I am going to be talking about. It is about pediatric journal, how to know a pediatric journal and fake conferences. It's very important because pediatric journal are in the past, you say, okay, you can easily cite them. But now pediatric journal have websites, some of them quote the ISSN numbers. That is the International Standard Serial Number, which is a unique code given to identify an ongoing or periodic publication in this context. So that number is very important to be able to know, okay, this journal actually is, it's every journal, a very reputable journal must have that number at the end of the day. So I will be sharing some of the tips for us to follow when we are trying to do what? When we are trying to cite whether a journal is pediatric or not. So the first thing is to verify the journal's identity. The first step in verifying this journal identity is to check the journal print and electronic ISSN number, as I said earlier. So every journal, every reputable journal has an ISS number. Although pediatric journal now also have ISS number, they generate one for themselves, but there's a way to check. How do you check? Go to a very reliable database, put this ISS number into the database. You will be able to confirm whether the information, the name of the journal, the country, and all of these things match. If it's match, then you could also move to another step, maybe do like a cross-referencing DOI check. You pick the DOI every article must have a DOI. Look at the previous article and publication they have done, and then look at the DOI number. Click on it, see whether it matches with the topic and all like that. It is very important to do this background check on the journal to decide whether they are real or they are pediatric. So it is very important because fraudsters are everywhere. They have new identities, they create journals and all like that. At the end of the day, I will show you some of these stuff at the end of the day. And also, another thing is to verify this on Scopus and Web of Science, their Web of Science claim. Some of these journal and pediatric journal now they put the logo of Web of Science, put the logo of Climate, put the logo of Scopus and all like that in the journal to show that, okay, to present themselves as as though they are real. But you don't just do, or you don't just look at this and pass. Check them on these databases, whether they are actually whether they are actually properly indexed, or they are very properly indexed in this particular database, because this is a way to check it. So you verify the database, look at the impact factors of these journals and all like that. You can be able to check it straightforward from the get-go. I'm going to demonstrate at the end of the day. So do not assume a DOI proof legitimacy. Now, what am I saying? I have said earlier that DOI is like a unique identifier for a specific journal. I mean, for a specific paper that has been published. Every paper has their unique DOI. And what do you do? Click on the DOI, put it there. If it does not match, as I said earlier, you do a background check. If it does not match with the paper at the end of the day, or if it is not linking you to that specific journal publication page where the information about the article can be seen clearly, then it's a pediatric journal. We are going to do a test on all of this stuff. So DOI, just because it has a DOI, doesn't necessarily mean um, it is the correct, or it is correct. Click on that DOI to check. You need to check. The real information here is to do a background check on all of these journals that you are trying to submit to, for you to be able to know whether they are real or they are predatory. Investigate the journal history and ownership. It is very important to investigate the journal's history and the ownership of the journal. Who are the people who are in charge of this journal? What is their history like? Imagine a journal who was created that has been created in the for a long period of time. Let's say 1984. 1984 from now, till now is like 42 years, if I'm not mistaken. And then you check that, and then they said they have only started publishing papers, or they have only published like 10 papers in the last 42 years. That should signal something to you that I know this particular journal might be a pediatric journal. Also, look at it again in this light. They have been there for 42 years, but they have only appeared to launch their website in recent times, maybe from 1984. They are just creating a website in 2022. So it should suggest something to you that it's fishy. There's something that is fishy there. So it's very important for you to check the background and do a background history on the ownership, who are the editor-in-chief of the journal and all like that and all. So also examine the journal scope and the publication volume. This is also very important. The scope of the journal, as I said earlier, is where you know whether the journal in the first place match what you're trying to do in terms of checking it in line with your topic and research questions and research objective, whether it fits into the scope of the journal, right? Now, if you are checking that, you have a journal, say International Journal of Political Science, and then you now check it, do the background check, and you are seeing articles on blockchain, articles on nursing, articles on accounting, articles on artificial intelligence or civil engineering in a International Journal for Political Science. That should signal to you that they are predatory, because the scope is not aligning with their publications. So it will show, it will show that it's a predatory journal at the end of the day. Or in terms of volume now, a journal article has been publishing paper like 42 or 65 paper per year, and it suddenly skyrockets to 1,500 publication per year. It should signal something to you that you need to do a background check on this particular, journal to know whether it is real. Maybe they have increased, they have expanded and all like that. Of course, it could be true that a journal might have expanded and all, but the gap should tell you something that from 42 to 1,500, it's a large number. So that should prompt you to do a a deeper research on that particular journal before you decide to submit there. Examine the peer review process. Now, it is very important. And we spoke about ethics in our last meeting, that ethics is very important in research. Now, peer review process deserve careful examination. Researchers should be particularly cautious when journal promises and guarantee acceptance within 48 hours or 72 hours. As I said earlier, if you want to publish in a very reputable journal, it takes a longer time, a review time, to publish your paper. Someone will not promise you 72 hours or 48 hours of acceptance without a proper review and all, and you should accept it because it's fishy. No, it takes time to be able to, if you want to give out good information and good research, it should take proper scrutiny. I have even seen in a particular review, a reviewer will send you a 14-page comment on a 22 pages article to review. After doing this. So for the reviewer to send you a 14-page comment for you to address, it means he has thoroughly understand the work you are doing. It took his time to read through it and all, and that cannot happen in 72 hours. I'm afraid to say that it can't happen in 72 hours. So it has to take a longer period of time for you to be able to do what, for you to be able to actually get the time. For your research to be reviewed or peer reviewed. And also, another ethical issue that you need to consider in this place is the kind of review. So in review, we have single blind review, we have the double blind review, and then we have the open review in this context. In this context, I'm going to explain the single blind review. Single blind review means that the reviewer knows the authors, is able to identify that this is the name of the author, is being the author's characteristics and so is being made known to the reviewer before during the review process. So the closed blind review is done in such a way that the reviewer is not known to the author and the author is not known to the reviewer in this context. And then open review is in such a way that the two parties know each other. They are able to say, okay, this is the person reviewing the work, this is the person. In most cases, you have a double blind review where the author is not known to the reviewer and the reviewer is not known to the author in this context, so that it can give a credibility to the work that actually you are doing, so that there will not be any form of bias at the end of the day. So you need to look at all of these things when you are trying to spot if a review is done in 72 hours and then you are able to know that, okay, this is the person reviewing my work and all like that. It should sense or signal something to you at the end of the day. Also, check the editorial board and the publisher. It is very important to do a background check on the editorial board and the publisher. Usually, in most cases, the editor-in-chief must have had like some kind of publication in this, or must have had some experience in handling the journal's scope and all like that. Imagine a editor-in-chief from pharmacy and is trying to be an editor-in-chief for a journal in political science or public administration. It doesn't match. So the background of the editor must match with what? With the journal itself in this context. So it's very important to do all of this. These are some of the things you need to check when you are doing your review. When you're trying to submit your article, so that you not fall a victim of predatory journal. Also, check the publication fee before submitting. Now, this is very important. To publish an article, you have something we call the article processing charge, which is called the APC. And then most times for a reputable journal, the fee can go as high as $1,500 to $2,000 to $3,000. So now, imagine a journal promising you to publish your work for $100. It's a predatory journal. They just want to rob you off of your money in this context. So you need to look at this. You need to be careful of this so that you don't fall victim of scam in this context. So it is very important. And then you need to check this. And then they said, okay, pay $100 so that they can publish your work in 48 hours or 72 hours. So it should be concerned. It should raise a concern to you. So also, there's also what you need to know in this context. When you're publishing, of course, there could be a waiver. If you are from region, if you are from some region, you can be automatically waived from the APC fee that the journal charges. So I think that's another entire what's it called, entire discussion. Or you can be discounted based off of the region you're coming from or your affiliation and all like that. It's very important to know all of these things. Waiver is waiving the entire APC. Maybe you're trying to submit an article to BMC, or you're trying to submit an article to a reputable journal, as it were, and their processing fee is $3,000. If you are from Africa or some other regions, maybe they can say people who are from this specific country are entitled to waivers. If you have an affiliation in that country, you are entitled to waivers. So it means that automatically you are not going to be paying anything, but it does not still mean that you should not do a background check on the journal, as I said earlier. And then discount in this context is also very important. Some regions might be offering discount. Maybe if you are from Asia and all like that, based off of the affiliation you will belong to, they can offer you a discount of maybe $500 from $3,000, or $1,200 from the stuff, from 3,000 from the article processing charge at the end of the day. So you need to be very careful. Also, examine a special issue carefully. Yes, when you're trying to submit to special issues, are issues that are a journal particularly give out, to invite people who have manuscript in a specific theme, or they're trying to address a particular theme or a particular area of research. So they just give special issue. They publish special issue, a call for special issue to submit your manuscript. So you need to check all of these. You need to make a particular background check on the special issue too, because sometimes pediatric journal can also say they have special issue they want to dish out at the end of the day. So it is very important to make a search on this special issue. How legitimate are they? Check the ISSN number, the DOI of previous special issue. If they have not been, having special issue before, what prompts them to have new, to have this special issue now and all like that. You need to do a background check on all of this. So another thing is to read the published paper, not just the home page. So of course, we told you, I said earlier that journals have homepage and landing page where you can access and do a background check on them and all like that. But try and read recent papers of those journals. Try and check them out. That's why I said you can use the first method I said in the first place. Look for a reputable paper. Look at where it was published and the scope of the journal and all like that, and look at the citations. So there are some things to look out for in recent publications in that particular journal. Maybe you can look at their table, you can look at their methods, their figures and statistics. I told you earlier that journals have a format they use. If the format is not matching with what they publish, it should tell you or inform you that that journal is actually a pediatric journal, because sometimes pediatric journals just want to collect your money and publish anyhow. You get what I'm saying? So it's very important to check this and make this background check at the end of the day. So also examine the reference list. If there is unusual citation pattern, there is manipulation of citation and all like that, or occurrence, maybe someone just copied, pick one paper, maybe the paper published in that journal, you find out that, okay, there's just one paper that the person is citing and citing and citing and citing again without properly doing a synthesis, a synthesized work or a coherent work. You find out that those journals can be of questions, because for journal to have invested their time in going through a rigorous review process to ensure that the work they are dishing out to their audience is valid and it is credible. For them to have done a very solid work, they won't accept those kind of work if work are not properly presented and all like that. So it is very important to do a background check on this. So um, do not depend on one database check. As I said earlier, do not depend on one database check. You are to look for different database. When you are making verification about a journal, don't just focus on Web of Science alone. You can check other places, check DOJ, check Scopus, check Web of Science on all of these on this particular on this particular journal. Make deep research on it so that you can know whether this particular journal that you are trying to submit to is properly indexed in this context, because your goal is to publish your article where it will be seen and where it will be called or classified as a very reputable place in that context. So it's very important. So this is like a summary of the things that you need to do when you are trying to find the right journal, and actually when you are trying to check for predatory journal and all in this context. So professional appearance, I would like to conclude in this light that professional appearance does not mean the legitimacy. What I'm saying in essence is that you should not just because of you see it, believe it. You need to make a background check. You need to check and verify the claims of this particular journal before deciding to submit your journal into them. So that is one of the things that we are going to be, we have talked about. So also, we need to go to the next one, which is submission process. The submission process might, after you have chosen the right journal that fits your scope and all like that, the submission process is also very important because different journals now have different submission requirements that you need to adhere to strictly, because if you don't adhere to them, you face a desk rejection. What is desk rejection? As I said earlier, it is as you submit, they reject it. The first stage, without even getting to the reviewer stage. So, because if your journal is not, if your work or manuscript is not matching the scope of that particular journal, they will reject it from the get-go. So how do you now submit your manuscript? The first thing is to prepare the file. How do you prepare the file? Formatting the manuscript in line with what the requirement of the journal. The table must match the number of keywords, the abstract, as Dr. Mbana explained earlier, the figures, correct all fonts and all typos, correct the grammars and all like that. Make sure your work is properly formatted. The next one is to gather information. Collect full names, email address, and affiliation for co-authors. We are in a space where we encourage collaboration with people when you are writing manuscript and all like that. If you are trying to draft a manuscript, you must actually include, the co-authors that have contributed to the work. So you need to collect their affiliation, their name, their email, their details. You need to collect it, and also when you're submitting, this will be asked at the end of the day. Also, most journal require you to submit a cover letter. The cover letter in this context is talking about you drafting a cover letter, a letter that shows what the manuscript is about, the main findings, why does your work fit into the scope of that particular journal, so that the right audience that you are trying to send in or pass the information across to can access it and all like that, and also state the ethical issues. Clarify any ethical stuff that can be of concern in your cover letter. It is very important. So, and also you state that your work is original. when you're trying to draft it. So those are some of the things you include in your cover letter. I will show you an example of a cover letter I've drafted for the submission of a particular journal that I submitted in recent times. So complete the online portal, because all journal have their website and their data, their landing page and all like that. So when you get there, they will tell you to fill up information, usually the information of your co-authors and your own information, their affiliation and all like that. You submit them, and then you put them into the into the forms that they will provide, online form that they will provide for you. So these are some of the things. And then any other supplementary information that they want you to fill, you provide them. It is very important to provide them on these online portals. So also, before you submit, actually, you need to create an account with them. If you are the corresponding author is the one that is going to be communicating directly with the journal, actually, because you might be the first, you might be a co-author and also be a corresponding author. It's just the person who handle day-to-day communication with with the journal, in terms of um, the submission process of the article, from the time the submission is done to the review time until when the article is finally published. So these are some of the things you need to look at. Also, I'm sorry. Um, so I would also like to talk about responding to peer review information, how to address external reviewer. Now, after you have submitted your article, you need to actually do what? Go through a review process. And when you are going through a review process, the author actually, the journal will send your work to a reviewer. And once the reviewer has reviewed your work, they are expected to get back to you if you have an acceptance. But if you don't have an acceptance, you have some corrections to do, the reviewer will drop some comment for you to revise. Now, there is a way to speaking with a reviewer. You don't just speak to them anyhow, actually. It is important for you to be very polite. So now there are some suggestions that I will make when you're trying to speak or communicate with the reviewer. The first thing is accept reasonable suggestions. When responding to a reviewer, authors should remain open to suggestions that can improve the manuscript. If a reviewer recommendation strengthens the clarity, presentation, or argument of the paper without compromising the study, it is often best to accept it. So the comment of the reviewer is very important. If it strengthens the direction through which, if the comment strengthens whatever you have been trying to pass across, you should accept this these comments and then make adjustments with immediate effect. So in case of disagreement, explain your disagreement politely. If you don't accept some of the comments that the reviewer is saying or talking up or pointing your focus into in terms of the manuscript submitted, you should explain your reason and back it up with evidences from the literature why you have decided to do this work this way, because it is very important. It must be methodologically clear. Like it must be it must be methodologically clear, and then it must be backed with available evidences from the literature why you have chose to do the research in that particular way and all. So it is very important. So rather than rejecting the suggestion, you explain why why the proposed change is not appropriate for the study. So that is very important. Also, clarify unclear comments. Now, some people, I said the other time that I had a review of like a 14-page review, reviewer's comment. Some people might decide to ignore some of the comments of the reviewer because maybe they felt like, okay, it's not important and all the comments that the reviewer points to, you must address them. You must address them, stating the reason why you have accepted, or if you have made an adjustment to what you feel like it will contribute to the work. You need to do what? You need to state it. I have addressed this comment and all like that. The ones that you are not addressing, state the reason, back it up with clarify it with in a methodologically reasoning manner, and then back it up with relevant evidences from the literature. The reason why you are not accepting it, it must be very clear. You should not leave any comment unattended to. And then respond professionally. You should respond with what? You should respond with courtesy and in a constructive manner. It is very important to respond this way so that you will not respond vulgarly or vulgarly in this context or in an unprofessional manner, because you are talking to, you are talking to someone who is who is going to have a say on the work that you're trying to do. At the end of the day, he is either going to be able to say, okay, this one pass or this one should be rejected at the end of the day. So you need to be professionally conducted when you are trying to communicate with the external reviewer or the reviewer in this context. Also, respond to all comments, as I said. Focus on improving the manuscript. The purpose of responding to reviewer is not to win an argument, but to demonstrate that you have carefully considered their concern and used the review process to strengthen your manuscript at the end of the day. It is very important that you do these things. So it is very important to follow this process when you are trying to do what? When you are trying to communicate with with the reviewer in this context. So the next one that I'm going to talk about is authorship and collaboration. And I told you earlier that authorship is very important. Collaboration is very important in research when you're trying to actually write a draft, a manuscript. You should collaborate with people. Of course, you have cases where you write the manuscript yourself and all like that. But in cases of collaboration or authorship is not simply about who contributed to the research project. It's about it is about giving appropriate credit to who duly deserves it. Authorship should match with appropriate credit and the responsibility. Those people who should be author of a paper, of a manuscript, are those people who have contributed in one way or the other to the success of that manuscript. So I say that who should be an author? Author may contribute to different aspects of the study, such as developing the research idea, designing the methodology, collecting or analyzing the data, interpreting findings, or writing a critically revised version of the manuscript. Simply providing funding, supervising a student, offering a general advice, or holding a senior position does not automatically qualify someone for authorship of that work. Agree on authorship early. So now, based off of this information that I've said or that I've given out, you should agree on authorship early. There's the first author and its role. There is what? The co-authors in this context. So now, who should be the first author? Who should be the co-author? And then you should know that the first author's work should commensurate, responsibility should match commensurately with the authorship role or authorship title in this context, because first author means that it gets more credit, it gets more accolade for the work in that context, and the co-authors should also have their own responsibility based off of the agreement that you have had when drafting or while drafting the manuscript in this context. So it is very important to agree on authorship, because if there is a disagreement at the end of the day, the research that you are trying to put out there will not be published and all like that. The research that you are trying to push out there will not actually reach the people, the audience that you're trying to do it, if there's a disagreement, because the goal is to publish the paper for the right people and the right audience to see it. So if there's a disagreement on authorship, it can mar the process of publication of the manuscript at the end of the day. So this authorship, agree on authorship early is very important point to make. And also authorship order. As I said earlier, who should be the first author is the person that make the largest contribution to the work, and also who should be the co-authors and their roles and all like that. So I said that authorship does not automatically comes with seniority, with your position or funding of the project or general supervision and friendship or influence in this context. Authorship should be matched with credibility and responsibility allotted to you in the process of collaborating together in writing or drafting a manuscript. So collaboration requires clear communication in this context, as I said earlier. So avoid authorship problem. So the goal is to avoid authorship problem, as I said. New researchers should be aware of practice such as a gift authorship, adding someone who did not contribute sufficiently to the work, or a ghost authorship, excluding someone who made a substantial contribution to the work, and changing authors' order without agreement. This practice can create ethical and professional problems. The goal is that authorship is earned through contribution, not position, not position, not by friendship, not by seniority or influence. Good collaboration means sharing responsibility, communicating clearly, giving credit fairly, and taking responsibility for the research together. So everybody who is part of the team that contributed to the research must be credited appropriately in this context. So I think this is going to be the end of where I'm going to stop. But now we need to move to the practical session of this particular how to check for pediatric journals and all like that. I will stop sharing my screen. Okay, I think I still need to share my screen. Sorry. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So I don't know whether we can see my screen. Can
Yes, we
someone
can.
respond?
Yeah.
All right. So now this is an example of a predatory journal that they sent to one of my friends recently. Look at this. Dear Dr. Sam Omotayo Inyada, greetings from Open Access Journal of Microbiology and Biotech, OAJMB, with an ISSN number attached to it. Look at the ISSN number. We came across your profile and scholarly work on Orchid and were impressed by your contribution to the field of microbiology and biotechnology. Your expertise align well with the aim and scope of our journal. We are currently accepting high quality, original review, conceptual perspective, etc. for our upcoming issue, and we would be honored to consider your submission by August 10, 2026. So they attach their WhatsApp number and all like that. Now, let's do a quick check, a background check on this journal on a reputable what? On a reputable database. Let me check Scopus. Can you see? So now this is like the landing page of Scopus. So they have said ISSN number. Let's come to ISS number here and let's put it there. Right? Just a quick check. Can you see what is it saying? No source were found in this particular something. So it shows that this journal, you need to do a more detailed research about them. Now, let me go back there. So if you put this, what's it called? On Google, Can you see? This is it. It's there. But look at the same ISS number. You can't track it on a database there. You see? They have published some of the articles actually. Look at it. The latest publication and all. So this is one example. Also, you can access predatory journals. Sorry, predatory insight. There's a link for you to check whether a journal is a predatory journal or not. I'm coming. Journals insight. Look at this. Journals insight. Now, this is like there are some people who have created a website on where to access what's it called? Predatory journals to know whether if they are fake or not. Or like that. I think it needs to load. It needs to load. Now look at this. Journals avoid this flag as predatory. Look at them. There are a lot of them here. There are a lot. There are a whole lot of them here. You can check. You can do a background check on all of the journals by coming here because you check them out whether they are predatory. Some might not be here. I think I did a check on that other one. It's not here because this is also a site. So now it's not specifically here and all like that. So you can check them out. There are a lot of them that have been flagged as predatory journals. So also, now let me now show you how to check. For example, let me show you this. This is a recent journal that I'm working on. I'm reading this journal for a particular something. Let's use this as an example. Now look at this. This is the DOI number. This is the unique identifier for this particular journal. If you click on it, it is Elsevier that published this, right? So when you click on it, let's see where it will take us to. This is the DOI. It must directly link you to, okay, you see? Links you to silent. I'm coming. Now, it brings you directly to where it is. So when you click on the DOI and you are not able to access the same paper, is it the same paper that I clicked on? Yes, it is the same paper. Drivers of cybersecurity improvement in local government capabilities, collaboration, and their timeline. It links you directly to the paper. It brings you back to the paper at the end of the day. So if you click a DOI and it's not linking, because each paper has their own unique DOI, if it's not bringing you directly to where it's supposed to bring you to, link you directly to the same paper, you should be careful of those kind of journal, in that context. So that's another one. Also, I will share. Also, another thing you can do with the DOI is to copy it. You can copy the DOI. Where's the DOI? I'm coming. Okay, now let me look for this. Look at this article now. I can copy this DOI and put it on Google. It should bring out the article. Just the DOI, it should bring it out. So let me come here. Can you see it? So copy the DOI. I'm coming. I will delete the. It should bring you directly to the journal. Can you see? It's loading. Journal of Public Administration Research and Theory, Resisting or Facilitating Change. How street level managers, situational something, something, something. See, the same DOI has brought us here. Now let's check the article that I downloaded in the first place. Can you see? It matches. So this is one way to make a quick search. Now let's check for a journal actually that is actually, what's it called? Let's look for an ISSN number of a journal. Now look at this. Let me say global challenge. While this is a journal that we recently submit one of our article to. Look at this. So when you click on this, is because we have already done this. It matches the scope and all like that of a particular article. So now you should be able to access the what? Coming.
Okay, Mr. Taiwo, I think we are a little bit on top of the hour. So if
Okay.
we could try, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to round up in the next 4 or 5 minutes.
Thank
So
you.
I'm almost done. Yeah. Okay. Um, oh, okay. I think I will come back to this. Okay. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. Look at this ISS number. Oh, come. Oh. Yeah, this ISSN number, you can check it. We checked the other one, it did not come out. So let's go back to Scopus and let's put this. Can you see it? It brings out global challenge, open access. The other one was no results found. This shows that this article is properly what? Indexed, right? So if you click on it, it brings you here. I'm coming. Still loading. I'm coming. So, I mean, okay, so let's leave this like this. I think on Web of Science, it can show you this citation index. Look at this. Can show you the citation index and all like that. So you put the ISS number here again. You see global challenge, it shows. So you can verify the profile and all like that. Okay, I think I'm not logged in, so that's another thing because of time. So the bone of contention is this actually is showing here. The ISS number is showing here. You can trace it to a database. It shows that this journal is actually what? Is actually a right journal for you to submit if it fits the scope of your work and all. So lastly, I will show you something. I will show you a cover letter and an example of a cover letter. If you can see this, this is an example of a cover letter that we submitted recently for a paper. Look at this. This is how to write it. I'm pleased to submit a manuscript on these specific titles and all for consideration for the publication under your special issue titled Environmental Influence in Neurology in the European Journal of Neurology. So this systematic review synthesize emerging evidence on the relationship between climate-induced thermal stress, sleep reduction, and Alzheimer's disease and all. So I explained the aim of the paper and all, the central contribution of the paper and all, and then we spoke about the contribution of that paper. And then we spoke about how our how this particular paper aligns with the scope of the journal. You can see it here, and how it aligns with the general scope of the journal. And then we declared that we abide by, I mean, by the ethical rules and all like that of reporting in the paper. So it is very important. We also state there is no conflict of interest and we didn't receive external funds. You need to make all of this known in your cover letter before submitting the paper. I would have liked to show us a landing page of the paper that we submitted to the global challenge and all. But without further ado, I think if there's time, I can share that later. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo. Thank you, Dr. Mbana. We have a lot of claps coming up for you both. And oh my God, Elodia, I see you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So good. Hey. Dr. Yvette, I see you. Thank you, everybody, for your participation and for the clubs. They are quite encouraging. I see you all, Cynthia, Sunita, Mildred. So I think we are opening the floor right away for questions and answers. We're trying to manage with time. We are almost going above time. So after the questions and answers, Mildred will be coming up to share with us the work they do at Cynthia Research Academy. Some of you might gain interest and may want to take up a course or two courses. So please, the floor is open for questions and answers, and this might go on for another 5 minutes before we switch over to Mildred. So please, if you can ask your question either in French or in English. Interpretation is made available. So please just raise your hand, and I'm more than happy to bring you up. Not sure what's happening. Yes, Elodia. Elodia, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks very much to the presenters. I really learned a lot, and now I'm feeling bad because I didn't attend the previous session, but I'm very happy that I think I catch up on some important items. So I would like to really, really appreciate the two presenters. And I will first comment and then ask a question at the end. So one thing that really retained my attention was regarding what Dr. Bana presented on the 4 questions in writing the abstract, because generally we write abstracts, but sometimes it's so difficult to read to understand what the why of what we are writing. And sometimes even when we understand, the last question on so what is very important, because this so what is at the end of the is like well, like the ultimate goal of why people should sit and listen to you. Then how is it going to change anything? But why are we sitting here? And both of them insisted on the audience. Who is my audience when I'm speaking to? I will tell you two short stories that when I attended some events. One was the I don't know, it's not a PhD, a medical doctor defending his thesis at the end of the study. And it was confusing and somehow so embarrassing because he was using such technical words that even the professors in medicine could not get exactly what he was talking about. And at the end of the day, one just said, okay, a member of the jury, okay, your father is here, your mother is here, your family members are here. Just tell us what's medicine. It was in French. I hope interpreters will help me translate this because I can never forget this. This was in 2012. Can you imagine? I still have it in mind. C'est quoi la médecine à la fin? Il said, la médecine, c'est la science qui étudie l'anatomie et la physiologie et qui cherche à restaurer la santé à travers la prophylaxie et la thérapie des pathologies. Oh my God. But well lost. Like to your friends here, understand about prophylaxis and the therapy, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know the end of the story because at the end they chase us out before they share the results. I don't know. And one was a nutrition forum where different sectors were invited, and it was political, I remember. Someone started presenting, and somehow, so at the point he just said, some killed more than 100,000 children aged between 1 and 59 months worldwide in 2024. So he presented, then at the end, just stood and said, oh my gosh, this Sam, you know the Sam, just arrest him once you arrest Sam. Putting this, that someone said, no, is an abbreviation for severe acute malnutrition. So if They can't just arrest him and the problem is solved. Why are you inviting us to tell us that Sam is killing people? Why? You know who is he? Just arrest him. Say the importance of knowing the audience and to put words together and to adapt our presentation to our audience. So thank you very much. And I will end with this question. Maybe this has been answered during the previous one, and apologies if I'm coming back. This for both presenters. How can we today, how can artificial intelligence, we can almost no longer survive without artificial intelligence. Okay? So how can AI be effectively leveraged throughout the research process? So I mean from the design, from data collection, analysis, interpretation, dissemination, publication, to enhance the research quality and to keep the human judgment. Thank you very much. I'll stop here.
Thank you very much, Elodia, and thank you for making it to our today's session. Elodia is our partner from Psychogarnison, and she's been here from the start. Thank you for coming. So I think, Stephen, you're just from presenting, so maybe I flip it over to Mbana to respond. Maybe you have a minute each so that we are able to manage time. So, Mbana, while Stephen catches his breath, maybe you want to speak to the question.
Hey, thank you, Eludia, for the question and thank you for your feedback as well. It's really, really great. With artificial intelligence currently in research, I think it's something we can use, but we need to use it ethically. Like if you go to some journals, while reading in the author guidelines, they always give like, okay, we can't currently give authorship to artificial intelligence. So when you're actually use it in a way that it's not going to be an author or replace your judgment. Maybe you can use artificial intelligence to check your grammatical errors. You can use it to like you maybe refine your ideas, but at the end of the day, you still need that final human check to check it like, okay, what I'm doing is still correct, and whatever I got from the AI, I need to evaluate it myself, change probably the wording. I think this is should be changed or something like that. Also, you can use AI to maybe review your papers before sending it out to the journal to fish out for mistakes and stuff like that. The end goal of this is like some people just paste an idea on like ChatGPT, for example, and just copy everything, no edit, no change, and paste to the journal. No, it shouldn't be that way. Sometimes this AI can give you ghost references, which is very, very bad. That way in fact, you get desk rejection. So maybe okay, you can tell GPT or whatever, I need references to link this and this. You check it, you open it, you actually confirm, is this what I want to do? Does this actually relate with the statement I want to reference to? If it does, fine, you can add it. But if it doesn't, you leave it. This is where like your human judgment comes in. So yeah, thank you.
Also,
Oh,
I will add to what Dr. Mbana said that AI is like an assistant to you. It's not supposed to replace whatever you're going to do. It's just there to assist you throughout your research process. You can use AI to find journals. You can use AI just give it prompts, act as a PhD student or a seasoned a publisher or a seasoned author who has published in this. Look for Q1 journals for me to this effect and all like that. To bring it out, then you do the background check that we have said, that we have discussed today in that context. That's one way. AI, I'm currently using AI for something right now. I'm trying to use it to find the research gap. So it's very important that you know how to use it. I think the aim of AI should be such that it will assist you. So if you don't misuse that, then you can use it for whatever you want to use, from the planning phase of the research till the submission of the manuscript. It's something that can be useful in every in every step of the way. So that is what I would like to say at the end of the day. Thank you.
thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo. So before I go on to, thank you very much for coming, Elodia. Elodia has also been one of the guests on this platform for a couple of sessions since 2025. She's shown up for 2 sessions. So again, she as a guest, by the way, and she always comes in from time to time to support us during the webinars. Thank you very much for coming, Elodia. I appreciate you. So before we go over to the questions which Cynthia has asked in the chat, they are quite lengthy, but I also know that Dr. Mbana has been trying to respond. And as he responds, we would go over to Mildred's presentation. Then I would invite Sankofa to put in a few words around the program they're currently looking forward to. I just want to use again this opportunity to say that I'm currently participating in Sankofa's 2 months booth camp. And it has to do with AI and research in the African context. And to be honest with you, I am learning a great deal. Elodia, this is again speaking to your question. I am learning a lot. How can we leverage AI from the point of streamlining our topics? How do you streamline your topics? What are the kind of prompts you can put in place? How are you able to even be able to put in place the theoretical frameworks that different researchers have used? How do you even download a paper? How do you in the last presentation, we were also looking at how to narrow down your research or papers with specific timelines. Now, today we've seen how to really verify and see that these papers are quite authentic. So again, we had shared the recording to the last session. I know you were saying you missed out on the first session, but we will share again the recording so that those who are following on with the second session who might have missed out on the first session are able to, follow through with the first, then come into the second. And I think both of them will be able to speak to one another. So again, please, Sankofa, after Mildred's presentation, I would like you to speak about an upcoming session which you have. And I would like a lot of you who are in today's session to look through that program and look at it. It is very robust, it's very intense, not the bootcamp anyway, but another session that's coming up. So look into it and see if this is something which you would like. If Sankofa is still around, please kindly share the link to the LinkedIn post you have about this upcoming session so people can already start looking at it before you come in to talk about the program. So in the interest of time, please, Dr. Mbana, I see you had already started speaking to Cynthia in the chat about this. Please kindly keep it to 30 minutes, 30 seconds. Then we would invite Mildred to come over from Cynthia Research Academy. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you very much, Marita, for this.
Sorry, my internet is actually messing up. But
So
regarding
hold on, Mildred. Hold on, Mildred. I would like Dr. Mbana to come in first, then we would put up your presentation and then you would come in. But over to you, Dr. Mbana.
yes, it was a question about it being overwhelming and all that. So, sometimes, like when starting with research, there are a lot of terminologies, there are a lot of concepts you need to learn, but we don't expect you to learn everything at once. There are steps to which you grow with research. You start from learning the basics, like, like last class, like last webinar, we tried to give some of the basics that you should know. And then, little by little, you come up with the concept. And the best way to learn with research is by doing a project of yours as well. While doing your project, you can learn along the line. Also, we know that this can be a lot, and we added the QR code to the slides. I know the presentation will be sent. It's going to be the second to the last slide. We added a QR code there. So you scan it, and it's going to take you to a PDF that has a lot of resources from like beginner phase, books, videos that you can watch to, make this stage like easier. So yeah, that's it. You shouldn't feel overwhelmed, like okay, you can get that way, but at the end of the day, like you're learning. I don't know everything. I'm still learning. I learn every day. I learn new things about research every day. So yeah, it's a learning process to like keep on learning. Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Dr. Mbana. So, Cynthia, like I mentioned, we're going to share with you the recording. In fact, we had shared, you should have seen that already, of the last session. So a couple of the concepts you're referring to, such as the index, you can you can look it up from that other webinar, but also you want to also make Google your friend, because they who are using those words definitely at some point got to research it too, right? So please kindly, sometimes when you listen to words like this, you want to run to Google. Yeah, it's your friend. Google is your friend. So run there and then just check very quickly, and yeah, you will be all sorted. So please still stay around. I'm going to unpin you, but again, I want to invite Cynthia to Mildred to take us through a very short talk about what they do. And I think maybe a couple of us might be interested in taking up research related courses like this. It's true, it has a financial implication, but again, look at it. For those who can afford it, please go ahead and um, take advantage take advantage of it. So please give me a few minutes so that I can put it up. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Oh, great. Thank you for the thumbs up. Yeah, Mildred, please, I guess you can go ahead now. I'm not sure what
Okay.
happened.
Thank you very much, Marita, for giving me the floor and also a space to talk about the Cynthia Research Academy on your platform. And also thanks to the presenters, Dr. Abana and Dr. Stephen. All in all, from what I can gather from this session today is that our research should be SMART, that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So getting to the Cynthia Research Academy, which is SRA, I'm just going to be brief so that we could manage time. So it's all about what our presenters have said today. And the Cynthia Research Academy is just in to help you uh, on your research journey. First of all, I would like to talk about who we are. We are a research-focused institution supporting professionals, and also SHINE is kind of a broad section of what the Cynthia Research Academy is. It's like it englobes everything we do. And our focus is strengthening people, institutions, and health systems. You avoid things like not knowing what your research topic is, avoid a lot of things what our presenters have said. So we'll guide you through along all your research journey. So we do with research consultancy and mentorship. That is, we have a one-on-one session. We have a one-on-one session with you. We mentor. We have experts that are already doctors, PhD holders that could really like follow you up during your research sessions. We also have research team training and scientific writing. I think we have heard about it in the training. We guide you along that. Also, we guide you on data analysis and grant writing, professional development, and also global health education. So here is kind of our values. Yeah. So what we deliver is, please can you get back? No, our values and mission. Sis, please can you get back to our values? Yeah. Values and mission. Yeah, yeah. So this is all, this is our values and our mission, what guides us. Our mission is to advance healthcare through evidence-based research, mentorship, strategy. We are honest. When you give us your research topic, we make sure that we keep your data safe and we follow you a one-on-one. We are disciplined and so on and so forth. Next slide, please. So like I was saying, What SRA delivers: practically support from research idea to measurable impact, research consultancy, like from your research team, design, your planning to the submission of your manuscript. Also, one-on-one research mentorship that, like I earlier explained, we have a one-on-one mentorship and guidance on your research development publications. We also have research team training. I also already spoke about that. Capacity building for teams and institutions. Also, proposal article writing, like we maybe if your proposal is not kind of tying to what you're actually doing, we could help you to see how you could come out with another proposal so that you could have a good article at the end of the day. Also, we also help you to analyze your data, as Dr. Banner said in his presentation. That is always good for someone to know actually what you are. What your data is, somebody should understand. So from here, we'll help you how to like explain your data whenever you are trying to publish your research or article abstract. So grant writing, maybe if you want to like gain a grant from maybe an institution, you have a project and you want a grant, we help you on how to get to write a grant and then get grants from other institutions to help your project. Next slide, please.
Please, let's keep it a little faster. So let me know which slides to skip so that we can keep on time.
Yeah, you can skip this.
Okay.
Yeah, you can skip this. So here is our impact. Please back. So here is our impact. We have trained 1,000 and above, and we have had these trainees from different African countries. We have had 50 plus peer-reviewed publications, and also 5,000 hypertension awareness projects. Next slide, please.
All right, so just let me know again which one I should skip, because this is going to be shared with participants right after. So let's just keep it focused. The course you talked about, maybe we go directly to the course.
Okay, here we are talking. We are in partnership with the University of Washington, which always have courses that they offer, like online certification courses, and these courses are on. Next slide, please. Are on leadership in global health, project management, fundamentals in global health, non-communicable diseases in global health, policy development. We also economics in global health. We also have monitoring and evaluation, which is not listed here. We also have we have a lot of courses that we partner with the University of Washington. So each cohort has its courses, and the certifications are very good because they go beyond just global health. Like I, for once, I've taken the course in project management, and I can say for myself that I can not only work as in a global health milieu, but also in other domains as a project manager. So these certifications are really these courses are really good for your research topics and also your professional growth. Next slide. So, yeah. So I think that's the end of my presentation. And if you want to know about us, there is a contact that is shared on the presentation. And also I'll be dropping our website in the comment section so that if you can go and look through and then get to me if you want to have anything to do with us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mildred, for that detailed layout. We are going to be sharing this alongside the materials and today's session's recordings. So one more call to say, please let's use the link in the chats for those who are going to be needing attestations. And even as you'd want to give us feedback from today's session, kindly use this link, which Sonita has shared in the chat in providing this to us. This helps us a great deal in improving our sessions. So I don't know if Sankofa is around to speak to us about an upcoming program before we call it a day.
Marita, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, I want to say, first of all, thank you for the session. It's been a long one, but very interesting. And I'm happy that you're going to be sharing the recordings. So just very briefly, I think for the AI session that is already ongoing, that's AI for Africa-centered research, we're not accepting intakes anymore because we're already at the 4th week. But obviously, I will be sharing the Zoom links with Marita. She can share them later where you can get the recorded sessions. And then we are currently also launching our research fellows, African research fellows. And the applications end by the end of this month. So literally that's what we do. But very briefly, you can just check sankofaresearchhub.com and you'll find information that you need there. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you very much. That's Sankofa, our partner. You might have seen in the chat, in the WhatsApp group where I talk a lot about Sankofa. That's what they have going on now, and I'm a beneficiary of this program, which she just talked about. For the second one, I'm yet to see if I will be able to. But again, I encourage you all to go in for it. So please, is there any other question anyone has before we close for today? Thank you very much, Jerry. Jerry is also in my course mate in the boot camp. Yeah, thank you for the link, Dr. Ada. Thank you for the yep. Okay. Okay. Are there any more questions? Any comments? Anything anybody wants to know more about? You can raise your hand or use the comment section. I see we still have 21 people in the room. Any questions? Okay, if there aren't any, I would like again to, yeah, there is a second course coming up, Mildred. There is a second, like Dr. Ada just mentioned, there is a second course that's coming up. We can't enroll for the first anymore, but there is room for the second course that's coming up. It's called a call for African Research Fellows. So I think you can get into the fellowship if you can meet up with it anyway, because this is also intense. If you're not able to, yeah, you might want maybe wait for the next boot camp because the next boot camp is 2 months. So and it takes place once every week. So look at it. Yeah, I have it even on my WhatsApp status. I'm again going to share it in the WhatsApp group. For those who are interested, please look at it. Look at what is expected of you by the end of the course and see if you will be able to go in for it. Yes, Dr. Yvette, you're welcome. Come in. I see your hand.
Thank you very much, Nangla. Thank you to your guests. We learned a lot today. It's very, very insightful. I had a question, but I want to let you to ask privately. I already sent it in the survey, but I can't quite and not thank your guests. I learned very, very much during this webinar. I missed the first one, but I saw the recording. It was also very insightful. Congratulations and thank you. We are paying a lot to get this kind of trainings, and you are providing it free. Thank you very much, and please keep it growing up. It is very helpful for us. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Yvette. And in fact, I'm always very challenged by Dr. Yvette. She's a Francophone, but how far she has come with expressing herself in English, I'm challenged. I'm challenged. So thank you very much, Dr. Umbana. Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. You get the feedback directly. Dr. Yvette, she's an academic doctor as well with a very strong background in medics too. So if she's saying that, she knows what she's talking about. So it means the content you've been sharing all along is very much valuable. So thank you very much, Dr. Yvette. Thank you very much, Dr. Mbana. There is a link to the WhatsApp group. I think, oh, thank you, Cynthia, for sharing. That was very timely. Thank you, Tawia. You have the links from many sources. Please join. Again, if you need a certificate for participating, please fill the form. Sonita has been sharing it over and over. Thank you very much, everybody. I would like again to pull Taiwo, Mr. Taiwo and Dr. for your final words. Today is like the closing. Please, any final words to participants as they go all out there to explore in research? Any final words while we wrap it up for today? Maybe I'll go with Stephen
Um,
first. Okay. I don't know. Okay, Stephen, you go ahead, Mr. Stephen.
All right. Thank you very much for the platform you have given to us to be able to share, insights on research. Generally, it's, as I said earlier, that, as the lady said earlier, that research is, can be tedious. Yes, of course, we all know that. But if you find something that you are interested in, I feel like that will give you the extra motivation and the boost for you to continue to push, because you're trying to solve a problem. Because what research actually entails is trying to solve a problem and actually providing solution to a particular set of problems in this context, and then making it, because the goal is not to finish a research and put it under a desk. That is not the goal. The goal is to get it out there for people, policymakers, people who can actually shape the society, to see it in such a way they can actually extract from whatever you have found out in your research at the end of the day. So it's very important to not just stop at the point of doing the research. After having passed through those process, you should be able to get your research to your final audience, to the targeted audience. Because when you are doing research, I said, made mention of something in the last class, is you need to walk back. Walk back in the sense that before you start a research, you need to look at, what do I want to achieve at the end of the day with this? And what you want to achieve is to actually provide solution. And I believe if you see research like this, it will go a long way to help you, because you will know that you are not just stopping at the middle of the road. You are actually aiming to achieve a goal at the end of the day. So thank you very much once again. I wish everybody a success.
Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Mbana.
Thank you so much, Marita, for this actually. So it's a very great platform and a very great program as well. Hopefully I'll join more CCN programs as well in the future. Yeah, and for my final words is like research is like a journey. So you start it, it's interesting, and I always like to say what should drive you should not be how many publications I want to have. What should drive you should be what problem do I want to solve. That's a better way to go about it. Don't go about, oh, I want to have 50 publications. It's more about how many problems, what problems do I want to solve? And it's not all rosy, by the way. It's not all rosy. It can get really annoying when you have to deal with like very, very um, hard peer reviewer like comments. Some of them can be very frustrating, or sometimes your work gets rejected after putting so much work in it. It shouldn't discourage you as well. It should just give you motivation to keep going, because at the end of the day, you know the goal. So Yeah, because it's something that it's going to happen. Like sometimes your papers are going to get rejected. Sometimes the comments you're going to get back will be so difficult, to address, or it's just going to like take your morale down. So at the end of the day, you know what you want to achieve. And I hope, we all make different impacts and really great impacts in the research community and research space. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Mbana, again. Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. This has been two intense, these have been two intense sessions, but you've done your best to, break it down in this manner. I really do appreciate your efforts, and I thank you, Sankofa, for being a good partner at that. After this webinar, expect the recordings. They will be coming your way. In our last couple of sessions, we've not been able to send across your attestations. But again, I want to use this opportunity to appreciate those who've been helping me in the background. I want to appreciate Alice. I want to appreciate Desiree. I want to appreciate Kani. I want to appreciate Sonita, who recently joined us. I really appreciate your efforts and for everything you're doing in the background. Um, I want to I want to thank you very much, the interpretation team, for the good work you're doing in the background. I have had a lot of thumbs up coming through for the good work you're doing. Thank you very much, everybody. And it is at this point that I would like to say thank you. And this was Career Chats with Nangla, and we look forward to having you in our subsequent sessions. Thank you, everybody, and bye.